got dirt everywhere. Little baby Groot. Little baby Groot. Yeah, he's really cute. A lot of people liked him. I took a photograph. Photograph? Don't I sound like I'm from 1960s? I took a pic. I took a picture and I put it on my Facebook, and also the thumbnail for the last program here in the Voodoo Garden. It just looks so perfect with little Groot. And by the way, Groot, for those of you who don't know, is a character from a sci-fi show called Guardians of the Galaxy. And it was a character that died. He gave his life to save his friends, which was the ultimate sacrifice. But a little piece of him, he was a tree monster type thing. And a little piece of him, a twig, survived, and it grew into be a little baby Groot. And baby Groot just melted my heart. So I got this from my best friend Mike. It's a planter. Yeah, his head is hollow. Yeah, we kind of go together. His head is hollow, but unlike me, I planted something in his head, a little spider baby, so it looks like a little hairdo coming out of there. Thing is that although this is cute, it's really not that practical for a plant that you have to water. An air fern would be perfect in here, but I don't have an air fern, and I grew them before, and they're just not that fun because they're really no care. An air fern is a plant that you just put up on the wall, and it takes its everything it needs from the air. You don't have to water it, you don't have to do squat. All you got to do is look at this thing. That's not my idea of gardening. If I wanted something that I don't have to interact with, I just get a plastic plant. But I planted a little spider baby in his head. It looks kind of cute, but the downside to that is you got to water this thing about every day because it doesn't hold a lot of soil. So I don't know why I'm talking about baby Groot. My program today was supposed to be about, and it probably will be, it's about some successes and failures and some new things that I teased you about in the last program. I wanted to show you those because things you may not expect to see growing indoors, I have them here. And that's what the Voodoo Garden is pretty famous for, is doing things that are unexpected, growing outside the box, and trying my old theory that all things are possible. If you believe in them and you give them a try, you never know what you're going to succeed at. You're going to have a lot of failures, but you're going to have some really great successes. And those are the ones that keep us going. So I wanted to show you a few things. And actually, I could just yammer all day long, but you know what? The best thing to do is to just show you all these little things that I didn't show you last time, and you tell me what you think, okay? I'm going to set up the stuff and park yourself. Bring a cup of coffee or hot cocoa or your friends, I don't care. Bring somebody, and let's start the show and tell. Well, I think I'm just going to start out with this mess. It was not really a failure, but it was an attempt. Remember, I had the big banana tree growing in here for years. I think since 2010 or 9. I don't know. It's been here forever. Then I took it outside. I set it free. I let it grow one season outside. Well, the cold came and it got to it and killed it. But what happened is, right towards the end, it put out a baby. Yes, a little baby pup right at the base. And this is that one. It was looking nice and green. I tried to get it out with the roots, but once again, Ray failed. Yes, he did. He felt miserable, and it cut right there. It just broke. So I hurried up, got it inside, put it in a glass of water. It's been, I think, 2 months or something like that. Yes, 2 months. This thing I didn't think it was going to root because I didn't have the base for it. But it didn't root. It did stay alive for the longest time. And it really did give it the old college try, but I'm going to take it out of the water now. It's been 2 months. It won't root at all. There is no chance whatsoever that this will root. But I wanted to show you this because there is hope at the end of the tunnel. When I threw the plant out, I needed the pot. So I dumped the plant out over on the hillside. And what I noticed in the root ball when I moved the soil was this. Right in front of baby Groot. Some folks guessed this to be a voodoo lily. No, this is a new baby that was coming up out of the mother plant. And since I dumped the soil out, I did catch the roots. I planted this little tiny anemic looking thing because it was underneath the ground. So it had no color to it. It was anemic looking yellow. I planted it in some compost soil that I made here in the Voodoo Garden. It took a while to get its roots right, and it looked like it was going to die for a while, but look at this. It's starting to green up just a little bit, and it's going to start growing right out of the tip. It's not much to look at right now, but it's a start. It's a new genesis of the plant that I've had forever and ever. I said I wasn't going to grow it again, but you know what? I'm a big, fat, stinking liar, I am. I couldn't say no. It was just there. It was laying there, and I couldn't say, yeah, you guys know how it is, all you plant addicts. You know how this goes. So once again, I might have another banana tree. I don't know. One other plant that might be headed out the door is this fern. I got some ferns at Walmart. Remember that about a couple months ago? I got some really cute little plants, transplanted them. And this one doesn't seem to want to grow in the Voodoo Garden. I know it looks okay, but that's just the camera and the lighting. It really doesn't look that healthy, not like it did when I got it. And it could have some shock from transplanting. I'm giving it every opportunity, and I'm taking really good care of it. I keep it moist. I keep it under the right amount of light. I group it with other plants for humidity, but something about it just feels kind of wonky. And it's just not growing the way that I believe it should. I'm going to give it every opportunity. Once it drops dead, I'll toss it. But until then, I got it in the plant hospital area of the Voodoo Garden. That's a fern. I've never had good luck growing ferns. For some reason, I'm not a fern kind of guy. And yet, a bird nest fern. Yeah, I got this at the exact same time. It was on sale for just a couple dollars. And I brought it home. I planted it. Inside of it, we're going to shove your face inside a bird nest fern. Look at that. The inside has this brownish area, and that's where the new leaves unfurl from. You can see the new leaves constantly unfurling in here. It's crazy. I just water a little bit inside of there, and it's squeaking as it rubs the leaves. And I water around it, and I keep it moist just like the other one. Same exact care, but this one is looking beautiful. Yeah, a bird nest fern. So I don't absolutely suck at growing ferns. It's just, I guess, one variety I'm not going to have good luck with. But on the balance, yep, there's that balance again. I'm doing good with this one. I don't know what it's going to look like when it grows up, but I am enjoying having it here. So I do have a little bit of success with the fern. Now, some of my failure could have to do with transplanting. Sometimes plants just don't transplant well. No matter what we do, we have a little bit of a failure and they go into shock. I believe I showed this one, the peperonia. Pepperonia? I don't know. It's some kind of pizza. I showed the plant and the leaves were curled over. Remember that? Well, since then, and it's been just a couple weeks, the new leaves that are coming out are not curled over. See, you can see the old ones here. When the leaves curl like that, that means the plant's under stress, and that happened after I transplanted it. It was a beautiful plant, and then it went through shock, but the new growth is coming out normal, so it's getting over that shock. Sometimes it just takes a while, and if you see right here, I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's a flower stalk or just a big old weirdness coming out of it, but it's looking good. I think it's just going to get better and better as time goes on. And this one, I know, I showed it last time, but I got to show you. Remember the three little, this is the coleus, the three little nubs that were coming out. They're not nubs anymore, are they? They're three very healthy branches. What a difference just 2 weeks make. And each one of them has a flower stalk coming out of it. Yeah, I'm going to have flowers on this itty bitty coleus. You know, coleus are really gratifying to grow because they show so much in such a short period of time. This thing's going nuts. And so eventually it's going to take the place of its mother. The giant one? Yeah. Up on my little shelf here, I have a couple, I don't know if they're failures or successes. I think I'll let you be the judge. A friend, I think his name is Graham. Yeah. He sent me a ponderosa pine, a little seedling. I planted it in my soil, watered it, and it just promptly dropped dead. Yeah, that's a dry stick, but I'm keeping it in there just in case it might have gone through some shock because I know nothing about growing a ponderosa pine. I thought it'd make a nice addition to the yard out there, a big old ponderosa pine. Mike was thrilled to death that I got this thing. And then when it died, he got really disappointed. But you know what? That's just how it works. Gardeners have to be able to accept the good with the bad. And speaking of good and bad, I'm going to just show you right up close. I did the pruning demo and the clipping demo of the, what was that plant? Croton. Yeah, here's the stick. I planted it in here. I left it in there for a while, and then I checked it. No roots, and it just seems to be half dead. Not quite sure what's going on. Now this one was the clipping that had the big leaves on it, and it was starting up. Well, what happened is the leaves wilted. They look like microwave lettuce or steamed lettuce. It just went floop, and all the leaves died and fell off except for one. And just in the last couple days, it's starting to perk back up. Now it will get, like when you transplant things like tomato clippings, sometimes the leaves will just wilt, but you give them a few days and they perk back up. This one took a little longer, but that leaf stood up in the last 2 days, and that tells me that there are roots down there. So I am having a little bit of success. I don't know about the stick on the left, and that's the thing, you never quite know. That's why you got to just keep trying. So even though you may think that you're a failure, don't worry about it. Sometimes there's just nothing we can do about it except cross our fingers and hope for the best. That's what I'm doing here, and I think I'm going to have this one taking root and starting to grow. So that makes me happy. That really does make me happy. These two things down here by my feet. This is something that I tried to grow when I lived in Windham, Minnesota. I got some seeds, I planted them, I started growing them, and they did wonderful. But in 2012, I had what was called the Great Spider Mite Invasion. This is why I have such an aversion to insects in the Voodoo Garden, because I was hit once. And some people get bugs on their plants and they lose hope. And I tell them, you know, I even had that happen to me. I had it wiped, the Great Spider Mite Invasion. Normally you just spray them with whatever you use and it kills them. Well, that's what was supposed to happen, but these mutant junky spider mites would not die. I was using neem, I was using pyrethrin, I was using rubbing alcohol, I was using everything, and I couldn't kill them. These things were just genetically modified monsters, and they killed so many of my plants. It just wiped me out. It was kind of sad, you know, I got kind of bummed out, but I just picked myself up and started growing more things, and eventually they just went away. I don't know what happened. It was an act of nature that just got rid of them for me, and that was nice. But one of the plants I did lose was what's called a miracle fruit or miracle berry plant. I grew it from a seed. It started out as a little tiny seedling, and it grew and it grew, and I pruned it, and it grew, and it had a good time, and then it died. I was hoping, and I'm going to explain what this is. A miracle berry is a plant, really, you know, nature's an oddball. And there's a plant called a miracle berry or miracle fruit, whatever you want to call it. It produces a itty bitty tiny red fruit that looks like a Boston baked bean. It does. And it's not much to look at, not much to taste. You eat it, I think it's kind of sweet. Not a big deal, has a big seed in it, and kind of like a large pomegranate seed. Well, anyway, the berry isn't so spectacular, but what the berry does, that is a work of art. It tricks your taste buds and it alters them for about an hour or so, and everything you eat that's sour after that tastes sweet. You can eat, you can slice a fresh lemon right in half and bite into it, and just the thought of that right now is making you cringe, right? Those of you who know what it's like. And I have bitten into a lemon, and even right now it gives me shivers. But you can bite into a lemon and eat the whole thing and it tastes like lemonade. Yeah, and so this intrigues me. Things like that, weird nature stuff, it intrigues me, it draws me in. So I thought, you know what, and I'm not going to let that spider mite invasion memory kill my enthusiasm for growing this again. So I ordered more seeds online, and it turns out they had a crazy germination rate, so I got way more than I thought. I got something like 12, and they all started germinating. I thought, well, this isn't convenient at all. I have too many plants. I have all these little miracle babies going on. I call them my little miracle babies, and they're growing all over the place. The thing is that not that they're going to do anything in the near future. It's probably going to take about a year or so. But I wanted to show you the difference with the lighting. What the difference is to identical plants underneath the lights I have here in the Voodoo Garden. These are both miracle babies. I planted them right around Thanksgiving, close to Thanksgiving. So they're not very old. They didn't take very long to germinate, and they grew really fast. But look at this. The one on the left has a short stem and thick leaves. The one on the right, let me go down to plant level, has a thinner stem, but it's longer. And look at the leaves, they're not very big at all. Identical age. Now the only difference between these is that I had one of them, the left one, right up to the light within a few inches of one of my fluorescent lights. The one on the right was 2 feet below the light. That doesn't seem like very far. Like, oh, well, you know, put the light 2 feet from the plant. Look at the difference. Yeah, you need to keep an eye on your plants and see what's going on with them. If they're looking a little bit leggy, get that light closer to them. And since they're not fluorescent, I'm sorry, they're LED lights. They don't generate really any heat from the bulb itself. So I can put these almost right touching with it, and it really does help. So if you're not getting strong, sturdy looking plants, the problem could be the lighting. So pay attention to that, okay? Now, while I got you down here, ground level, yep, raised knee. And right here, while you're sitting on my knee, look at these. Do they look familiar? Those of you who grow citrus, you would know. Yep, these are citrus trees. Lemon, to be precise. Not Meyer lemon. No, I tried to grow a Meyer lemon and it didn't germinate. I was fixing dinner and I was using a lemon and two really nice looking seeds popped out of it. And I went over to the trash to throw them away and then it just hit me. Why not grow them? I can grow lemon trees. Yeah, you can. So I rinsed them off and I got all the sliminess off of them and I peeled the outer shell. And you don't have to do that. But I rinsed them off really well, planted them, and about a week and a half later, I have lemon trees. Now, of course, going through a lot of people's minds, and people are already starting to type on their keyboard, well, you may not get the right kind of lemons from them, or they may not produce lemons. Thing is, I don't care. I'm not growing them to produce lemons for a harvest. I can buy lemons at the store, and I don't use lemons that often. What I do enjoy doing is growing citrus trees because when you touch their leaves, you get the smell of citrus. And these are absolutely free. You can plant oranges, tangerines, lemons, grapefruits, you name it. If it's citrus, you can just take the seed out, plant it. You may not get the fruit that you bought because, you know, some trees are grafted. But you know what? Some of us don't grow for the harvest value, the harvest equivalent. Some of us just grow for the fun of it. And these ones will grow, they'll put out flowers, they'll do everything a citrus tree does, hopefully here in the Voodoo Garden, because these are not are going to be acclimated to outside, not in my, where I live, no, no. They're going to be indoor trees. Check it out. See the design? Yeah, this got me. I had to show you up close. Tiny R and Ray. Yeah. Does this image look familiar to you? It looked familiar to me. And the reason it looked familiar to me is because I wrote a book. Remember I told you I wrote a book. And on the cover of the book, I put an image. And it is, I got to say, even though it's not the clearest image in the world, because it's a screen capture from my camera, I didn't mean to take a picture. I was just filming Rascal and I. When we first moved here to Iowa, I was so happy, content, the feeling of peace washed over me after living in my previous address, which I really didn't care for, to come out here and to be where I knew was home. I absolutely knew it in my heart, my soul, my mind, that this was my home. This is my forever home here, and it's Rascal's forever home. We will live out our lives right here. I have no doubt about it at all. And I have moved around a lot, and I've always thought the other places were nice, but this was totally different. I was feeling such a wave of peacefulness that I sat out there by the corner of our property with Rascal, and we were looking out over the fields, the farmer fields. It was absolutely beautiful. And I was filming something about hardening off plants, I believe. And I left the camera on. I just didn't turn it off. But when I was moving the plants, it was just such a beautiful sight that I went over there with Rascal, and I sat down, knelt down, and Rascal came and sat right next to me because, you know, we're like this. Rascal and I are one and the same. We are bonded like no other. He sat down next to me and looked up at me, and then he looked at what I'm looking at, and he just kicks out his leg, and he's just looking out, and I'm looking out. Best buddies, looking out over the beauty of western Iowa. And when I was editing the video, I thought, this is beautiful. So I took a screen capture and I put it off to the side as one of my favorite pictures. It's not clear enough to frame and have a beautiful picture, but it's just something that I thought was nice. Anyway, I took that picture and I put it on my book. Today is a good day. I thought, because you know what, this book is about me, it's about my life, it's about my growing and becoming who I am. This picture personifies my peace in my mind, in my heart, and my soul. So I put the photograph on there. I really thought about what picture I wanted on the book. That's the one. And that's the one I look at almost every day on my computer. Well, I didn't tell anybody this story. You're the first to hear about it. This is the first you're ever hearing about it. Well, a friend, a viewer, who wrote in to Weekend Edition, she purchased this and sent it to me, and I didn't know this box was arriving. I got all these fun gifts in the mail, and by the way, thank you. I appreciate it. I always appreciate things coming in the mail. I love opening boxes, and so does Rascal. He shoved his head in there. And when I'm opening the box, I always put packages on the floor, and Rascal helps me. So I'm opening up, he's shoving his head in there, and he's sniffing around, and this is what he was sniffing. I am not kidding you. And that's what we saw on it. This is and I don't believe that they made this, the company made this shirt because of my photograph. I think that it just happened to be a coincidence. And what a happy, weird coincidence it was. I get a shirt that says, "Life is good." And it is the exact same image of Rascal and I sitting on our property thinking that life is good. It's something that I wanted to share with you that was so beautiful. I had to wear this. I had to wear this to show you. I have a whole bunch of shirts sent to me by viewers, and I wear them periodically. And I wanted to show you this. And by the way, I'm going to, at the end of this program, I'm going to show you the photo that I'm talking about. So wait till the end of the program. Don't worry, it's not going anywhere, so don't rush to the end. But at the end, check it out. This versus the photograph. That was a hoot. So anyway, I wanted to show you one final thing. This unremarkable looking plant. It isn't remarkable, but it's something that changed my mind, and it was changed. My mind was changed by you, by people who tune in, and things can happen. The weirdest things can happen. I've never liked sweet potatoes. Never liked them at all. You know, yams, sweet potatoes on Thanksgiving, either one of those. And by the way, they're not the same thing. People confuse yams with sweet potatoes. They're not. Yeah, they're not. Some people may think they taste the same and they might look the same, but no, they're not the same plant at all. Not even close. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Sweet potatoes. A friend sent me sweet potato slips, which are just little cuttings from plants that have been rooted. Send them to me this spring. I mentioned on the Praxis channel, I believe, that I planted them, or maybe it was here. I don't know. I planted them outside. Most of them died, but one of them, the extra one, I planted in my garden. Well, it grew in my garden like crazy, and it produced sweet potatoes. And I harvested them. I showed you the sweet potatoes. I think it was on the episode called The Sweetest of Harvests. Well, I harvested the sweet potatoes, and I made pie. I made sweet potato pie. I heard it was a lot like pumpkin, but people from the South will actually argue the point. They say it's superior to pumpkin. You can't compare pumpkin pie to sweet potato pie. It's like comparing a Volkswagen to a Mercedes. And regardless of which one you like, I made sweet potato pie with it. I harvested them. I just peeled them. I didn't set them out to let them get sweet or anything because I didn't know anything about that. I picked them, peeled them, and steamed them in the oven, baked them in the oven, and then froze them in a Ziploc bag. And then when I wanted to, I just took them out, mashed them up, mixed them up with all the ingredients, and I made sweet potato pie. I got to tell you, in all honesty, no jokes, it was the best tasting pie I'd had in my life. And I've had a lot of pumpkin pie. I love pumpkin pie. And I had sweet potato pie. I'll never go back to pumpkin. Nope. And so what I did was, this is before I found out I liked sweet potato pie. I took a cutting off of the sweet potato that was growing in my garden. I thought, what the heck, I'm going to grow it in here. And I'll just have a sweet potato vine growing in here. I had no intention of harvesting anything or growing it for any reason other than I thought it'd be fun to have this growing in here. Well, I found out I like sweet potatoes. I never thought I liked them before because I only had the canned ones with marshmallows on it. I hate that. It's just, some people love it, and if you do, more power to you. For me, it's disturbing. I don't like it. But when I had that pie, I thought, oh, I got to grow me more of those. It just happens that I have these growing here in the Voodoo Garden. And here we are. Sweet potato vines growing in the Garden of Voo. They're beautiful, aren't they? And let me tell you, they do grow fast, and when you take a cutting off of one of these, you don't have to use rooting hormone or any kind of nonsense. You just clip off a couple leaves at the bottom, stick them in water, and like within 1 second, they have roots. I'm kidding about the 1 second, but it's basically like that. This is the fastest rooting, surest rooting plant I've ever seen in my life. It put out roots so fast, within a week, I had taken it out of the water and put it in soil, and I grew it. And you know what's really strange? Look at this. This is not an unhealthy plant. This one's growing beautifully. Thing is, it's a whole different color. It just decided, you know what? I want to put out light colored leaves for a while the other part of the plant decided, I want to put out dark colored leaves. I have no idea what's going on, and I'm not going to argue with it. But what I plan on doing is keeping this alive. And I'll take more cuttings, put them in water, put them in another pot, because I got to make sure I keep this alive until next year. And next year I'm going to plant this in the garden, the cuttings. I'm going to make a special spot every year from now on. Oh, there's that speed racer again. Look at him go. The race is never over. They climb around, and these are the Chinese beetles or Japanese beetles. They're not hurting anything. Anyway, this thing is going to go in my garden every year from now on, and I'm going to have sweet potato pie for the rest of my life, thanks to one little clipping that I saved from the rabbits, a gift from one of you that changed my mind about how I feel about sweet potatoes. Yeah, something's coming up. Something's coming up out of the soil, and I'm not going to tell you what it is in this program. You're just going to have to tune in to future programs to find out what it is, but I will give you a hint. I don't like it. I don't like it. That is an open-ended statement. It could be anything. It could be hominy, it could be a menudo, it could be a YouTube troll, it could be anything coming out of that soil. But I want to end this with this plant right here. Let me show you that sweet potato pie. Check this out. Yeah, it tasted every bit as good as it looked. The smell, the texture was better than pumpkin pie. Of course, I did look online for sweet potato pie recipes, and I really wasn't quite happy with those, so I came up with my own. Yeah, I did. Most recipes call for condensed milk or milk, and I thought, you know what? No, I'm going to go old school, and I like cream. I like half and half. I'm not on a diet. I can take it. So I used half and half. I used half and half. I used real sugar. I didn't cut any corners whatsoever. I made the crust homemade, and I've already done. I don't know if I've ever done a pumpkin pie recipe, but next year, when I harvest these sweet potatoes, I promise you, and this was one you can take to the bank, I will harvest them and I will show you how to make that sweet potato pie. And I'm going to do it next year at the end of the harvest before the holiday season starts. So if you want to make it for Thanksgiving or Christmas or something around that time, you're going to have the recipe in time to make that yourself. So thank you for changing my mind about a few things. I do like this. I do like that I can grow, I can learn, I can change, and I can actually change my mind about things that I didn't think I liked. And that is wonderful. That is wonderful. That just goes with my saying here in the Voodoo Garden that all things are possible. If you can change Ray's mind, you can change the world. But I want to thank you all. Thank you for joining me for this weird little flip and flop episode of things that I'm growing here in the Voodoo Garden. I do have that mystery plant sprouting, and I want to make sure that it survives before I show you. But thank you for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Until next time, this is Ray and his weird little menagerie. We're out here.